And in the studio now, along with our panel, is Will Artley, the executive chef at Pizzeria Orso, just down the street from us in Falls Church. He is the former chef at the Evening Star, where he worked for 6 years, and it was a finalist and essentially a second place winner, even though I'm sure that you feel like you were the first place winner on Chopping at a Winter Wonderland, the episode in 2012 on Chopped on the Food Network. Hi, nice to see you today, Will.
Well, it's great to see you guys. I appreciate the invite. But yes, I guess if you want to look at it as a second place finish,
he was robbed.
It would be.
He was robbed.
But you just have to. I won. Okay.
Absolutely.
He won.
Yeah.
He was straight up robbed.
That's what my mom said anyway.
And Kate, you saw this episode, right?
I did.
Yeah?
That judge robbed him.
She was actually with us at the party.
I was. It was a huge party, and it was an ugly sweater party that I don't think everybody got the invitation that it was an ugly Christmas sweater party because not everybody had them, and my mom and I had them on.
They were pretty awful. Yours
yeah,
were pretty
but
awful.
they were really awful, and not everybody there had on sweaters. So we were maybe one of 10 people out of
12,
100 people. So we were 10 people in ugly Christmas sweaters. Everybody else was dressed normal.
So tell us about the food that you brought in today. You are now the executive chef of Pizzeria Orso, and you brought in all kinds of pizza and other dishes for us. How long have you been the executive chef at Pizzeria Orso?
So I took it over about 1.5 years ago, and I hadn't done really pizza before. I mean, I actually have a master's in artisan bread, so I'm a dough guy. I like doughs, any fermentation, stuff like that. So
where did you get your master's?
The Culinary Institute of America. So I have a degree. I have 2 degrees from there, and then I'm actually now certified by the Italian government to serve true Neapolitan-style pizza. Not a lot of people can say that.
That sounds legit.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I feel,
so,
I think that's...
yeah, so when people are like, this pizza isn't, like in Italy, and I'm like, you're a liar, actually. Clearly you have not, going to Little Italy doesn't count. Like if you go to Napoli, you'll have similar pizzas.
Do you have a hard time going to lesser establishments? Can you just basically not even walk into Olive Garden?
No. Well, that's the funny thing about it is what I've learned recently, probably over the past year, is that is not to judge others and not to criticize others because, at the end of the day, we're in it with the same love. I can't judge someone else's passion. I don't know what's in there. I don't. So I don't, when I go into other pizza places that are, regarded as better than mine or even less than mine, I look at it as appreciating that, that's their interpretation. That's what they believe people like. Sure. And who am I? It's funny, I've just gotten this conversation this morning about food critics and how if you look at the restaurants that don't get any love from the food critics, and they actually hate them, or not hate them, but really just don't say anything about them. It's like Clyde's in D.C.,
which is a big local,
which is a big kind of local chain,
family chain.
But the fact of the matter is, when you think about them, I think they make $200 million a year.
Yeah.
So
pocket change.
So the critics are all gung ho about these restaurants that are that don't make any money, that are only around for 2 years. Right. And at the end of the day, a restaurant is a business. So you're celebrating the fact that these restaurants are kind of failures. Clyde, I don't mean to pitch Clyde's, but Clyde's just celebrated 50 years in business as a restaurant.
Right.
That is success. How do you find criticism? Criticism is easy to come by. You should celebrate the fact that they've been around 50 years.
Some really interesting parallels between the food business and the music business.
Well, I
as
thought
I'm
about
listening to.
Yeah,
That's what I was
and I
thinking.
thought about it too when you guys were like, well, you have to put yourself out there. As a chef, you have to learn. There's so many chefs who people meet and they're like, they're really arrogant. And a lot of nowadays, being a chef is the next thing, the closest thing to being a rock star.
Yeah.
I was last Saturday. I was with my wife and we were at Whole Foods and I was walking out. La 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 la, and this lady pulls up in her car and is like, "Excuse me," and I kind of took a step back, and Kim does, and she was like, were you on Food Network? And I was like, and I started smiling, and Kim rolled her eyes and said, oh, whatever, and kept going. But the fact that I was just like, yeah, actually I was. And she's like, oh, my kids love it. Can I get your autograph? And I was like, yeah, of course. So it's that same thing. But
Is your wife not phased by your celebrity status?
No, she, that's
keeps you honest.
The funny thing about it is
Not at all.
she'll say, oh, that's great. You're in this magazine. You're going to be on this show. That's awesome. Well, guess what? You still have to go pick up the poop in the backyard. So,
Get the dog.
Mr. Superstar, pick the poop
You mean
up.
you don't have somebody that does that for you now?
No. But putting yourself out there to be judged and allow, or in their mind, they're allowed to judge you. Like I put food together that I think works. Like, I take a look at the neighborhood and say, okay, this is the, when I picked the restaurant I was going to go at, it wasn't like, they need me. And I looked at the restaurant that's, at that neighborhood and said, this is a great neighborhood. It needs a great restaurant. And, I think I can, move in with them. So it's hard, especially when someone sends something back and is like, I don't like this. When someone's like, this is disgusting. And you're like, you have no idea what I put into that. Like, you don't understand how hard that was, like, that sucks. Don't say it like that. You could be a lot nicer at saying that. You could just say, you know what, this is not for me, pass.
Fast. You could just say fast.
Oh, you had a good callback there. That was nice. Ben and I ate. What did you and I eat? We had the
I
lamb
ate
belly.
everything already. I've already had it almost
Did
everything.
Ben and I
All
have
of
the
it.
lamb belly?
Yeah, you had the lamb belly slider. So that's braised lamb belly with tomato jam, smoked aioli, and then you have cucumber and feta jam.
I feel like lamb belly is not often on menus.
No, it's not. And it goes like with the chef, you have to go with the philosophy of always using the whole animal. I mean, if you truly, truly love food and everything it's about, like, if I didn't use everything, I'd probably be vegetarian. But the fact that, if someone's going to sacrifice, if it's going to sacrifice a slice, you should do the best of your ability to use all of it. And lamb bellies, you'll never see it. And it's usually because a lot of people don't know what to do with it. Like, so I treat it like bacon, and I make bacon out of it. So this one is cured for about 3 days to break down some of the fat, because lamb fat can be kind of sinewy and really pungent. And then I braise it for 4 or 5 hours. And that dish is actually the current DC Lamb Jam champion and the current Omagong Mid-Atlantic champion
We have a lamb jam
champion.
championship.
In our
Yeah.
midst.
And I'm actually the current the lamb part champion.
Do you get a belt?
I have a belt.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And you don't wear it all the time?
They didn't give it to me. I actually went out and bought it afterwards.
That makes for a good. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, because it was like, there was the judge's choice and the people's choice. So, and this goes back to criticism. And my buddy was one of the judges, and he actually didn't even vote for me. And he came to me afterwards. He says, it's really funny because you won the people's choice by a landslide. Like, it wasn't even close, but you were the last one in all of the judges. And so when I was like, well, I want to appeal to everybody, not just 5 people. So at the end, he gets this trip to New York. He gets all this stuff. He gets all this oven stuff. I get a mat to stand on. Like, I get a mat, like a yoga mat, which is cool, but it's not even a yoga mat. It's like half a yoga mat. And I was like, that's. I mean, it's cool, but it's kind of crap. Like, why didn't you just give me one of his stuff? I would have been so excited about it. So I went out and bought one of those little WWF belts. So I'm now known
That's
as
amazing.
So now I am the people's
Lamb
champ.
Jam.
I am the people's champ.
And as a good segue to talking about belts, I know that I just went to the doctor today for a random checkup, and I remember the last time I went to the doctor, I was essentially 15 pounds heavier than I am now, which I found for myself to be a very proud moment. I called my mom. I told her about it. But you have beat me way farther than my current 15 pounds.
I have currently lost. Well, I try not to say lost, because I pretty much got rid of it, and I really don't want it back. Usually, when you lose something, you're looking for it. I'm not
Sure.
looking for this ever again.
That would be weird looking and flicking for what we're about to talk about.
Have you seen my fat? So I've lost 50 pounds in 8 weeks.
Wow.
He's doing
and
awesome.
And it started. Thank you. It started because, and I don't want to get too much into politics, but when they said that obesity was
Disease.
a disease, which
Right.
is not even close. It's actually, the disease should be lazy, but because everybody has it and everybody can catch it, at any given point. But the fact of the matter is, I wasn't disabled. I was actually, just lazy. Being a big guy has always been my personality.
Right.
So basically, it put me in a category that was the same category as my dad. My dad was in Vietnam. He's disabled because he spent 32 years in the army, sacrificing his life. His feet don't work real well because, he sacrificed that.
Sure.
So I don't belong in the same category. And so the Disability Act of the U.S. actually basically says if you have a disability, you're going to get a check. So you're basically handing someone who's already lazy a grenade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I basically wanted to come out, prove a point, and say, this was my choice, but thanks for the fire. It also kind of fell in fact that my wife lost her job with the government, but her passion was always health and wellness. And I figured, and I've always done whatever I've always wanted. I wanted to be a chef my whole life since I was 5, and I've always done it and never done anything else. So I couldn't imagine being in a situation where you couldn't do what you truly dream of. So, but she's been doing that for 37 years. And I finally looked at her and I said, it's done. I mean, I don't care that you can go work for the government and you have a high security clearance and they'll pay you 150 grand. Who cares? You can't take that with you. So she basically, I said, do your health and wellness. She has a master's in it or, all these degrees. And I said, I want to help you with your life, and I'll be your example. Every guru has an example. I said, I'll live the lifestyle that you want other people to do. And, the next thing you know, we'll be on Oprah because I lost 150 pounds. You know what I mean? And her career goes off and everything works out.
What is it like to be a chef in an industry all about eating, of which it doesn't look like you brought us in anything? I mean, the food that is great, but you didn't bring in, Weight Watchers food.
Right.
What is it like to be a chef and have lost all this weight, but you're in an industry that requires you to eat?
Well, and it also encourages, like, as musicians, for you to be up late, eat late, and
Right.
drink
Yes.
late. So it basically took me to kind of change my lifestyle, not necessarily go on a diet, but if I eat after 7 o'clock, it's always a juice. If I do eat pizza, which I did today, I have it either at breakfast or at dinner, which is kind of cool. You eat breakfast, you eat pizza for breakfast. Why? Because you want to fuel your body throughout the day.
And
Now-
you called today a pizza day earlier before
Yeah.
we started.
Yeah.
Is that a designated
carb
thing?
day.
Yeah, it's a carb day because
Yeah.
so tomorrow morning I'll wake up at 5. I'll run a 5K, which is 3.2 miles, with my dog. Then I will immediately go swim a mile in open water. Immediately after that, I'll go to the gym and do this boot camp for an hour and a half. So I need carbs in order to fuel my body. Carbs will break down a bunch of stuff, like, helps regain muscles, break down things, kind of like, jostles where things need to go. So it's not necessarily like things are bad for you, it's when you're doing it. A lot of my friends complain that they're like, well, I have trouble sleeping at night. What time do you eat? About 9:30. Okay, well, think of it this way. If you're going on a long trip, you're gonna stop and get gas, right? Well, if you're not going on a long trip, then why are you filling up with gas? For no reason, right? So you put gas in your car or your body so late, well, it has all the gasoline. So it's ready to go. Well, your mind's trying to go to sleep. So if you think about it that way, it's like, well, duh. You know what I mean? And if you put the wrong type of gasoline in your car, I feel like crap. Well, duh. Look what you put in your body. You have the choice.
Tell us about the experience of filming a TV show that was broadcast in front of to the entire country, if not the world. I mean, how does the process? What we see on the Food Network is an hour-long show, but probably took you all day, if not multiple days, right?
Yeah, it took about 18 hours. So I think, the one of the things that was just really different is for me, it was kind of an eye opener because it was the first time, I like to say I'm pretty successful, but a lot of my success has come because of the team that's been around me, like almost like the band. But my kitchen staff has always been the ones who, grind it out day in and day out. Like, I come in, I orchestrate stuff, I come up with new ideas, but they're the ones who actually do it day in and day out. And that was the first time where I kind of like, we go into the first battle, and I was just kind of like, well, crap, who's gonna do all this? I need onions
Where's my
chopped.
sous chef?
Wait, no one's here to chop my onion. I have to do it myself. Like, so it was kind of like an moment. Like, you know what? Like, so it was really humbling, and it was kind of like, so when I finished, the first thing I did was I called my team, and I was like, thank you. Like, I was like, I probably don't say thank you enough.
You
but-
really appreciated them more.
Right. And it's difficult. You're in a situation where you're not in your home, your home stadium. You're around people that don't know you and don't know your food or what you're like or anything. You can't have. It's in the most uncomfortable situation. So it's different. No one's around you that you know. So you,
Was the experience doing a TV show in general of that magnitude a good experience for you?
I think the situation was really good. Some of the editing was pretty funny, and at first I was kind of like, whoa, that never even happened like that.
Did they turn you into a different dude?
Oh yeah, like and whether
the choo-choo.
yeah, I
the
mean, well, that
choo-choo
was on
line.
purpose, but
That was great,
there
though.
was a couple things where like, they pitched me to like. That I stole the eggs or something like that,
right.
and I was like, "Wait, no, that's actually not what happened. I'm actually the one who got them for her." So it was one of those things
the
where
egg
so many things
stealer.
are cut out and like edited, but at the end of the day, I put myself out there to be judged, and when you put yourself out there to be judged, you have to be humble enough and know that you're not going to make everybody happy, but you just need to know that you're going to make someone happy. And if I make one person happy, then that's good.
And at the end of the show, as we kind of talked about earlier, and I didn't have a better way of saying it, so I said second place.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? What?
No. I feel great about it. I still, at the end of the day, when I was kicked out of high school, I was told that, I wasn't going to do anything with my life. And then, 2008, I was guest chef at the White House. So, and then I'm on national television. Like the same people who said I wasn't going to do anything saw me on TV.
Right.
And it wasn't for like America's Most Wanted or like, fat guy stuck on a beach or anything like that. It was kind of like,
this is good.
Hey, yeah, you know what I mean? So it was one of those things where it didn't really matter where I finished because I had already won. I'm in the game, to me, they can't, they wrongfully judged me. They gave up on me.
Do you agree, Kate? You watched the show.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I think that was the best part about being at Pizzeria Orso that night was to see that line when Will said that they had told him in high school that he wasn't going to go anywhere and that he had already won, and to really feel that. And I, I've seen Will go and knowing Will as long as I have, I think it's amazing. And what he's doing now health-wise is just, it's above and beyond. So it's way cool.
I watch her very close too. And her mom like
Yeah.
is kicking butt.
Well, Kate sent me you posted a picture of your mother on Facebook several months ago, because you and your mother do CrossFit.
Yeah.
And I guess you did it first, and then you got your mom into it.
Well, yeah, she came all on her own. She's 67 years old, and one day she was like, I want to come do CrossFit. And so I said, sure, come along. Like this is when they do the foundations class. And so she started coming every day. And a year later she had lost 50 pounds, and she still comes 6 days a week. She
It's amazing.
kills it. It's crazy, it's great. And when people say to me, oh, well, I can't do it or whatever, I go, well, my 67-year-old mom's doing it with, 2 knee replacements. So I don't know. And I think what's great, just in echoing what Will said, is that whatever anybody does, it's just about getting out there and being healthy and being excited about fitness, and I know you guys are joking about skinny fat and whatever, I mean.
Ben's the skinny fattest person I know.
Gorgeous. I mean, just the hotness next to me, it's just blowing me over right now. but in all seriousness, it's just about being healthy, like just getting out there and doing something. It doesn't matter what you do, but just to be out there being healthy, because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring us, and diabetes and so many things can take us down. So it's just, I was really excited when my mom said that, and at 67 to get out there and be healthy like that, it was, she inspires me, and she's kicking my butt. in
Yeah,
the
I see
gym.
the list of exercises you guys do, and I get tired from it. I'm like,
Yeah.
My eyes can't even handle reading that.
Oh yeah, and then I coach preschoolers, little 5-year-olds now, and that's really fun too. So
Well, in an industry where you probably are always trying to not only cook well but come up with new things, like the lamb belly,
Lamb belly.
lamb belly. Thank you, thank you. I wanted to say lamb stomach, but that was not going to go over well.
That actually sounds gross. Actually, you could make sausage out of it, but
What is something that you in the past have attempted to make that you realized was not a failure, but like what have you tried that ultimately did not work out, or has everything you've ever made worked out?
no, I think there's definitely been things I've made. I can't ever remember anything specific, but there are definitely. I feel like anytime I give it, I do it justice in a sense that like if I concentrate on something, I educate myself, and I learn about like whether it be a cooking technique or like something that's in season, or I really educate myself. I feel confident enough to know that like no, that's right, that's my interpretation, and that's how I feel about it. It's only when I'm a big energy kind of person, so it's only when I have a little bit of fear because I haven't properly, educated myself or like learned about something, is when something has failed. And that's because I'm putting out energy into the universe saying like I'm not really sure it's very good. But when I put something out and just say, "Oh, I know it's good." Like, it might not be something that you are 100% behind, but I for the masses I can do that. So I think just educating myself, like usually like, I mean, it's something that comes so natural that I can't even remember the last time. Like I've made pizzas where I'm like,
Who cooks at home, you or your wife?
both of us.
Really?
Yeah.
Does she feel? Is it nice for her to be married to a cook, to a chef?
I think so, but I think it's kind of like one of those, I really don't, I didn't do it until recently all the time. Like we would always, take the day off and go out to eat. But then we actually went to this restaurant where, there's right near our house, and I asked them. I mean, it's an ethnic restaurant, and their food was extremely spicy. And I'm gonna be a little bit of a diva, but my palate is really sensitive, so I really don't do well with spicy food. So I said, hey, I talked to the owner, and I said, listen, I don't want to name drop, so I'm not going to tell you who I am, but I am in the restaurant business. And I didn't say I was a chef. I just said, we come in every single Monday, but we end up throwing away all of our to-go food, and I only take like 4 or 5 bites because it's too spicy. I said, I will come in here every single Monday. I promise you. If you could just tone down the heat just a little bit. And I go, listen, I know the ethnicity or whatever it is, dictates like what it's gonna be like. I was like, but if you could just make me a small batch that's not really spicy, I'd really appreciate it because I want to support you. And that's kind of what restaurants should do. I mean, I want to pay their bills basically. And his response to me was, I don't cook bland food.
I
was like,
pass.
There's a personal
Right.
offense.
He was like, pass. He
I'm
was
gonna
like,
pass.
He's like, well, then just don't come. And I was like,
Now
and I
what-
started getting angry. I was like, what do you mean just don't come? Really? You can't just, and I look around, the restaurant's empty. There's no one else in the restaurant.
Sure.
Okay, I won't come. Enjoy your spicy food.
What is your favorite restaurant in the DC area, and what is your favorite restaurant in the country?
Probably Flour and Water in San Francisco. It's obviously, they deal with dough. It's hard to say in the area. It's really hard to say. It has to be kind of like.
Would you actually rather avoid saying it in the area? Do you have enough
Yeah,
friends?
I mean,
that you
I really like if I'm going high end, I want to go to 2941. If I'm going to Greek, I really enjoy the place near Del Rey in Alexandria is what's the place, Kate? It's over by Rustico. It's run by the little old lady. It's the Dixie Pig spot.
Oh, I don't know the name of
Yeah,
that. I know
but that's
what you're
really
talking
good
about.
for Greek food, and then you have
That place that
Mexican
I
food.
can't-
I'm Mexican, so I judge everybody on that. So I only cook my own, and then I mean, what else do you have? Pizza places? There's a ton of pizza places.
And the last question I have before we go to our musical guests, and is if you were not, if you were not a chef, and you were in a famous rock band, what rock band would you have wanted to be a member of, or whatever music you listen to?
That's a difficult question too.
Yeah. Or you give us a top three.
I would create my own band.
Okay.
And it would be a mix of Primus. It would definitely be. I want to say Metallica, but I'm really not. I'm finding it hard to say their name, so I'm not going to say it. So Primus, I would say. I like old school Tribe Called Quest, and so I would do a blend of them, and then I would do some old school. I'm really, really into like 50s. Like it reminds me of my dad. My dad listens to like oldie but goodies.
Yeah.
Like I would mix the three of those, any of them. You know, like those. You know, so those two bands and.
Like a Primus doo-wop band.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. That sounds perfectly normal. Yeah.
With some.
Well, Will, I really appreciate you coming in. You, again, you're the executive chef of Pizzeria Orso in Falls Church, and if I don't know if you have Hulu or something like that. I'm sure you can find the Chopping in a Winter Wonderland episode from 2012 on Food Network's Chopped. Thank you very much for coming in.
No, thank you. It was a great time.